we help power how people are able to, in a modern real-time way, access with controls money through a debit card or a credit card. So as an example, there's this big world of food delivery and grocery delivery. And most people probably think that when I go on to you name it food delivery service and I make my order and I hit send, that money is going straight to Red Lobster or wherever you ordered from. In the background, there's a real-time virtual card for a specific amount of money that can be used in a specific place, allows them to then go to the store and make that purchase.
In this episode, I'm talking to Karna Crawford, CMO of Marqeta, a fintech platform that enables companies to embed financial services into their branded experience. They're currently the fourth largest debit issuer in the US. We're going to talk about number one, her life story. Growing up in a lower income family, how she reached her life goal of becoming a CMO, and what she would do if she were to restart her career today in 2024. Number two, we're going to dive into the marketing channels that she uses to target her ICPs. From awareness channels like earned media, PR, and social media, to nurturing campaigns like CRM, ABM, and webinars. We're also going to try to figure out things like how much revenue they generate per year and how much do they spend in marketing dollars per month or per year. And every time she can't answer a question, we both have to take a shot of hot sauce. Hope you enjoy this one and wish me luck as well. Hello, Martians. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing on Mars. Super excited for today's conversation. Today we have Karna Crawford. She's currently the CMO of a company called Marqeta. Marqeta basically is a payment and fintech platform that empowers other companies to embed financial elements into their branded experience. They're currently the fourth largest debit issuer in the US. Karna has an amazing background, which I'm sure we're going to dive into. But Karna, firstly, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Simon. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe first off, before we begin anything, you have been told the theme of the show, and I think you have something prepared. We're gonna start off the show with a shot of hot sauce, and throughout the show, I'm gonna ask you tough questions, and anytime you cannot answer, very easy. We plead the fifth, and you and I will take another shot of hot sauce. So, what do you have for us today? What's your weapon?
So I'm from Atlanta. So I'm a Southern girl. I do like classic traditional Louisiana style hot sauces. And so I came with Texas Pete.
Okay.
I would have brought Frank's except because, I put that ish on everything, but I just didn't have any in my pantry today.
Yeah. Now, are you at home today or are you in the office?
I am. I'm at home. So Marqeta is a flex first environment. So we have a combination of fully remote people based in a number of places around the country and the world. And so I operate out of my home in New Jersey, right on the river, right across from Hudson Yards, New York.
Wow. We might have to connect. I might be heading out to New Jersey soon to do some kind of tech event. So
come on over.
Now, is it a condo? It looks like really high ceilings.
It is. I'm really lucky. I live in a condo. It's a classic New York style contemporary new construction, but it's a 12-story building. So I guess that would be called a mid-rise, not a high-rise.
Mid-rise.
But I got lucky when the building was originally designed. The top floor of the building was supposed to be the 12th floor, which is the floor that I live on. And so they put extra high ceilings in it because it was supposed to be the penthouse floor. So 12th floor. But they ended up deciding they wanted to make more money. So they got permission to build an additional penthouse level above this. So I lucked out that I get super wicked high ceilings. That my ceilings are like 11 feet high.
Wow.
But at the same time, I'm not paying penthouse prices.
You're not paying. Yeah. Well, nice. Well, and we're also going to test out what happens when you're high up and you're taking shots of hot sauce. Like will that affect, and we'll be doing some kind of science experiment. So, okay, let's start off. I have a habanero hot sauce. I'm going to stick with that today. I didn't eat any food, so
You're going stronger than me today. You're going much harder than I am today.
All right, let's pour this out. I got a spoon.
All right, let's do it.
Not doing any sleight of hand trick here. We are pouring out. Oh, shit. All right.
Aren't you supposed to be the skilled officer here?
I bored way too much.
So as the guest, I will tell you, we fully appreciate the host's trick backfiring.
I know, right? What a dummy. All right. Before we even start off, we're gonna get you talking soon, Karna. You're gonna be talking the rest of the show. I want to dive into your background a little bit. Your LinkedIn is stacked.
Yeah.
Worked at Ford Motors, head of marketing, head of strategy at Verizon, SVP at JP Morgan. You worked at Coca-Cola for 3 years. Basically, you're like the American dream of LinkedIn, right? Now you're at Marqeta and you've been there for 9 months. Walk us through your how you see your career progression
and like how I ended up here.
Yeah.
So the first I will say is when I think about my career, I've been very intentional in my career. I always knew growing up that I wanted to be a CMO. Once I got into marketing, I knew I wanted to be a CMO. And so most of my career decisions were based on me taking a path towards becoming a CMO, but not necessarily wanting to take the classic CPG, brand management, general manager track to get there. So I started my very first job in my career was actually technically in event marketing. But do you remember, like, you go back in the day when we did things outside, you would go to like events outside and people would be handing out samples. Well, I used to have a job where I stuck my hand in a pool of ice water or melted ice that would have Coca-Cola products in it. And I would be handing those out working for an event marketing company. And I did not know at the time that marketing was really a thing. That was just a job that was super fun, low effort, and paid a good hourly wage. Mm-hmm. And so that's actually technically how I started my career. And I did jobs with that same company all the way through college. And I went to school to be a biomedical engineering major. And very early on in my degree, I realized that I am a kind of a social person, and engineering can be a very insular, singular career path. And so I ended up still getting my degree because my scholarships and everything were kind of tied to that, but starting to do all of my internships and all of my jobs with an eye towards becoming a marketer. And so that's kind of how it all started and how it all began. And my first jobs were all at or for Coca-Cola. So whether it was me working in licensed merchandise at Coca-Cola, I worked at one of the first digital agencies. And I had Coca-Cola as my client, and that was at the beginning when digital was really, really new.
Was this at Momentum?
No, it was actually agency.com. So Momentum was the sampling and event marketing. And then when I left Momentum and Ignition, which is all event marketing under different names, that's when I decided to go into, I graduated and I went to the real world. And that's when I went to Coca-Cola in the global licensed merchandise department.
Wow.
And that was the best job that somebody like me could have had, because it is one of the best training grounds for brand building and marketing.
Oh, they're the GOAT, like Coca-Cola.
Like, you put, exactly. You put Coke, P&G, and maybe Unilever together, and they are among the GOAT of how you teach and develop and train marketing talent. And so that's where I started my career, really.
Wow.
But I was constantly wanting to make sure that I was learning what was new and needed to grow businesses. And so digital became the next thing. We were developing the CocaColaStore.com. I was leading the initial project to develop CocaColaStore.com, which sounds like a really big deal for somebody young out of college, but in reality, it was the thing that nobody thought was a thing. So it was just like a project that somebody was like, sure, let Karna go and do it. And from there, I ended up then going to the agency that we used to create that, and really learning digital, learning project management, and helping to shape some of the early days of digital marketing. And so a lot of my career has been based on me, constantly ensuring that I'm evolving to learn something new in depth versus just skimming across the top. So agency.com. Then I went to Miller to lead digital relationship marketing and CRM and digital media at Miller Brewing Company. And I had multiple roles there. And I started to realize that all of my jobs up until that point, other people were defining the strategies and doing all of the insights. And I was then bringing those things to life. And so I moved into a
Executing it. Yeah.
role, exactly. And so I moved into a role at Miller that was about leading the business analysis of the business. So I was the one digging into the data, identifying strategically what the problems were and making the recommendations on the solutions. And so I was learning not only how to execute visions, but how to use my quant and my analytical rigor to frame them. And that combination of skills has set the foundation for the rest of my career.
That's amazing. And then afterwards, Coca-Cola, like we mentioned, and then JP Morgan, Verizon, big companies, and then Marqeta. Talk to like what, so everything that you've been doing, I believe that everything in the past kind of prepares you for your current role and the future. Like what are you doing now at Marqeta, and how did everything else that you learned in the past kind of help guide you in this new chapter in your life?
It's a great question. So I joined Marqeta only about 7 or 8 months ago, so last summer. So I'm still relatively new, and I lead the marketing organization here as the chief marketing officer. And what we're really focused on is helping, like as you would imagine, helping to both define and differentiate and grow the brand, while at the same time using that to feed a high performing demand gen funnel that brings a pipeline into the organization that our sellers can just we tee it up and our sellers spike it down.
Right.
What got me here is that I've spent my whole career, as I'd mentioned, becoming eyeing towards CMO, but I've been in all major companies, whether I was at a major company or I was a major Fortune 50, Fortune 100 enterprise that is massive. And it has been amazing to learn and grow and lead in those environments. But when I finished my role leading US marketing at Ford, I took a step back to ask myself, when did I have the most fun? And when have I felt like I was the most fulfilled? And it was when I felt like I was having the highest touch impact on things, when I had both the ability to influence, but I also had the ability to kind of touch and feel an impact. And so I decided I wanted to go into a smaller environment, kind of back to my roots of smaller company. Marqeta is an amazing, I think, $3 billion market cap public company. So it's not small, but compared to, a Fortune
Coca-Cola and Ford,
Fortune 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what's been amazing about this experience is that it has allowed me to take all of my marketing leadership and CMO kind of heft that I've learned throughout the course of the years and apply it in a very different way, shifting into B2B instead of B2C, but then also shifting back into a smaller environment where the team, the scope, the scale is smaller, and you can have a higher touch impact on everything that the team is doing every day. And you're able to more directly help the organization grow and level up.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, okay, we can segue into that, but I love what you said about having, you kind of made a big career decision to not work with the big companies and focus on one thing, this one word which all founders and successful C-suites have in common is just impact. It is the biggest word. Is at some stage, money doesn't become the biggest factor anymore. It's not about the size of the team. It's not about the number of vacation days that you get. All of that stuff is just cherry on top, but it's impact. That is the biggest thing. So I love what you said about that.
And I will just say, it's not that you can't have impact in those big companies. I was able to impact a lot.
For sure.
I was able to impact in a big way. But the connection to that impact is very different when you're in certain environments versus others. And I just wanted to get back to that place where I could touch and feel that connection in a much bigger way. I will also say the purpose that we have at Marqeta, a lot of what we're focused on is enabling access to money and capital for more
Mm.
people, not just the few who have great, everything, great credit scores, great everything, but also finding ways to bring it out to more people. And that touches my heart growing up as probably a lower middle class family, and much of my family not necessarily having a lot of money, not necessarily having a lot of financial stability. Being in a company that's helping to power and growing and improving that for more people every day is just
Mm.
a much higher impact to me personally.
Love that. Okay, great segue. Let's talk about Marqeta now. Give some love to Marqeta. So you mentioned a few things, $3 billion market cap, right? Something like that.
Yep. Ish.
Couple of hot
I,
sauce questions for you.
yep.
I guess where does that translate in terms of revenue? I've seen some stats online, like
Yep.
100 million or whatever. Where are we at right now? Like, what's
We're
the
we're well over that. I can say that we're well over that, and I don't remember exactly what was in our Q3 earnings, but
Mhm.
I cannot tell you my 2023 revenue because you're going to have to tune in to our earnings call in a couple of weeks for our annual
Oh,
earnings call. So I can't actually say what our 2023 revenue was.
okay, okay, but it is higher than 100 mil. That has been confirmed. But
I can definitely significantly confirm that. And
significantly.
if you were to
Mm.
look at our Q3 earnings, you would see that our anticipated revenue definitely exceeds that. But I can't tell you what it truly closes out at. So cheers to that.
Mhm. There's that.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to for those of us marketers who are marketers of a certain stage of life, you know that things like hot sauce wreak havoc. And I know I'm gonna have to have Tums when we're all done with this.
I might be having Tums while you're talking. Like I might need that. Whew. But if as long as you eat some like carbs, you're fine. Like I try to
Are
just
we allowed to just do a little wash down with some water? Is there any rules
yeah,
against
yeah,
that?
no. Go ahead. Yeah. I was thinking like if even if you have some carbs like chips, so we've had people just nibbling on tortilla chips
Yeah.
during the call, which is cool. Okay, so substantial revenue,
Yep.
$3 billion um, market cap already. Um, so we're talking big company, and we mentioned earlier in the show, fourth largest debit issuer in the
Yep.
U.S.
Yep.
That's a pretty that's a good thing to add on your resume. Um, like talk to us a little bit about that, like the debit issuer. Like explain that side of the
What
market a
that
little bit.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah.
So first I'll plug a book. So for anybody who's super interested in payments and the issuing, processing payments environment, there's a book that I read very early on in my time here to learn the foundations of the business, which is called Anatomy of a Swipe. It's a fantastic kind of 101 book that breaks down the value chain of payments in a super simple, clear way. But the layman's way that I would say of what Marqeta does is that we help power how people are able to, in a modern real time way, be able to go and access with controls money through a debit card or a credit card. So, as an example, we power, for instance, one of our biggest customers is, I'll say it differently. If you were to look across our customer base, there's this big world of food delivery
Hmm. Okay.
and grocery delivery. And most people probably think that when I go on to you name it food delivery service and I make my order and I hit send, that money is going straight to, Red Lobster or wherever you ordered from.
Yeah.
It is not. What ends up happening is in the background, there's a real-time card that's being issued. And it's not a physical card, but it's a real-time virtual card for a specific amount of money that can be used in a specific place that allows for the person, like the courier person, whether they're a Dasher or an Uber Eater or what have you, allows them to then go to the store and make that purchase.
Hmm.
And so it puts this tremendous amount of controls on it and allows you to be able to scale your service no matter where it is. And so like that's just one like super simple example. We power and enable the process for that. We issue those cards, we tokenize it, we manage that aspect of the process inside of this value chain. And now what we're doing
So cool.
is taking those capabilities both from a debit card perspective, a buy now pay later perspective is another way that like just in time card issuing can add value. And then now we've also introduced in 2023, we introduced a full stack credit capability. So we can produce virtual co-brand credit cards that have dynamic rewards and real-time ability for the card company. So, you probably like, what's a store that you might have a credit card for?
Like not a gift card, right? Like a credit card.
Correct.
Like Costco.
Okay, so you might have a Costco like credit card, and we now enable for Costco to be able to embed the experience and the entire loyalty and rewards program of that into their experience directly, and then have more control of the way that they're managing the rewards program for that, and utilizing first party data in new and interesting ways to make those rewards highly relevant so that it's increasing engagement, increasing basket size or purchase size,
right,
and then overall increasing loyalty.
Wow. So so you guys are now number 4 in the debit side, and now you guys are trying to get into the credit side. That's a separate market, right?
It expands our market.
It expands your market.
It may be some of the, in some ways, it may be some of the same customers. Like in an ideal world, my dream customer is a customer that we can sell both our buy now, pay later, a debit card, an employee card that is with accelerated wage access, which is you can get your wages early and then use your card to pay for stuff. And then also have a co-brand credit card as well. In a dream world, it's all of these things so far. So I think that in the grand scheme of things, credit is opening up the stack because of the amount of additional transaction and growth happening on the credit side. So if you were to say that there are two types of general transactions from a card transaction perspective between the debit side and the credit side, credit has, I want to say, like a 10% CAGR right now, while debit has like a 5% CAGR. Yeah. And so it opens up more transaction volume opportunity for us, which increases the opportunity for us to generate revenue.
Awesome. We'll dive more into this area, but wanted to dive into, because this is a marketing podcast.
Yes.
Want to dive into what you guys are doing. Now you're the CMO, you're kind of, the captain of the ship, so to speak, and you touch every single part marketing related. I guess first question, like what are you guys, what are some of the channels that you guys are spending on in terms of marketing dollars?
So Marqeta has had the privilege of being an extremely well-known and well-recognized brand among the people that we were targeting, fintechs, neobanks, et cetera. We have a really strong brand reputation, and that has worked hard for us. So we haven't had in the past to overly invest in marketing. Now that we've introduced this idea of expanding into embedded finance, which basically means taking all those same capabilities and embedding them into non-financial oriented companies like brands, then it means we need to expand awareness. And so we're focused on striking this balance between awareness and demand gen. With one of our most important channels is actually earned. So social and PR are really important to us because we need to be able to punch above our weight in terms of outsized scale of our voice. Those are really important for that. We rely very heavily on CRM. We have a really strong and highly effective CRM program that feeds a lot of our site traffic and a lot of our funnel. And then obviously LinkedIn, from a social channels perspective, LinkedIn is a really instrumental part of our of our program. And then we also obviously do other things like other paid tactics and search, et cetera. But interestingly, different from my B2C world, the no brainer that is paid search in any sort of a demand gen, always like the first dollar spent, it's not necessarily the same way in our business. Paid search is a little bit, it's an instrumental to the total system that is our system, but it's not necessarily the first place that we go and spend a dollar and get the highest returns out of it for multiple reasons, some of which is about what people search for and the place in the marketplace that we play. There's still huge opportunity for us to optimize there.
Nice. So like as marketers, we like to look at funnels. So you mentioned awareness.
Yep.
For you, once you get that awareness bucket, what comes after? Like what are you doing in the nurture phase? And then you mentioned your sales team will spike down the deal once you get it, but that comes way later in the stage. But so for you, what does your funnel look like?
Some of our most important kind of like nurture activities, some of them are kind of like classic B2B activities. Webinars are extremely effective, not only for us to bring in qualified leads, but also for us to help nurture the qualified leads that we have to move them through our funnel to opportunity. We have found that to be really successful. In addition to that, obviously our nurture campaigns have been strong performers for how we're moving people through. And our sales development team is obviously like a critical instrumental part of that as well. Yeah. What we're focused on right now, though, is something that I've done a lot in my past, and I know is a kind of a classic B2B activity, which is that idea of utilizing data to be more personalized and more relevant. So elevating our game in ABM, pushing the envelope on some of the tactics we're using with things like ABM or even data targeted advertising to be able to find who we want. Because as you would imagine, our audience is not mass. There are a finite group of people who want and buy what we have. And so we want to be laser targeted, but at scale. And so I'm bringing a lot of the rigor that I've had in my performance marketing background at places like Verizon and Ford, et cetera, and applying that into a hyper-targeted, hyper-personalized world of kind of moving people through that nurture.
Wow. So
and of course, thought leadership underlies, like content and thought leadership is kind of the underpinning underneath a lot of this.
Okay. So to kind of, I guess, summarize for the nurturing phase, you got like webinars, you got ABM motions, and you got retargeting ads. Those are kind of like the top three pillars for nurturing.
I mean, we also we those are the ones that help us move people in addition to just general CRM, nurture, like classic nurture CRM activities that are hyper targeted and personalized inside of that.
So like of those nurture, because nurturing is so important. Like you can get 1 million people on the top of the funnel, but if you don't nurture them, they're never going to go down the funnel. I want to stick with this part. Out of all those nurture campaigns, what do you think? Like if you had to choose one, like what would be the highest ROI per dollar spent? Like webinars, CRM, ABM, retargeting ads.
I think I'm gonna hot sauce that one the way you asked it. What I will say is those are our top performers. I wouldn't necessarily want to go into exactly what our secret sauce is of like what the order of that is.
Nice. Okay, we got it.
So I think I'm gonna hot sauce that one.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So now we know there's something that you're doing that nobody knows.
Let's just say data and technology are our friends as marketers.
Ooh, all right, folks. You heard it here.
Oh, gosh! One time, no big deal. 3 or 4 times, woo, it's worse every time.
Yeah. Oh, habanero.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And honestly, Simon, you've got it worse than me because you're habanero. I'm just Texas Pete, and it's still like a lot happening for me right now.
Yeah, because there's no carbs. That's why don't try this at home, but we just do a little little dab. Little dabs are
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah. Well, I will tell you just to kind of close out this conversation, at the end of the day, nurture is the place that we are like laser focused on this
yeah,
year.
yep,
And as I've come into the organization, a lot of what I'm challenging my team with right now is I want us to do more testing and learning. So
yeah,
we've got the kind of the classic traditional B2B playbook down pat, and the team runs those plays really, really well. What I'm pushing us on is what does different and better look like in those plays? What is going to drive our conversion rate just a little bit better? So testing different creative formats, testing instead of talking like a technology company, talking like a business problem solving company, and
mhm,
testing the difference in how we tell our story to these audiences. Starting to test some different tactics from an earned media perspective to see how we can, again, further increase our scale above and beyond what we might be funding from a paid media perspective, et cetera. How do we improve the conversion rate of that nurture phase
yeah.
by trying and testing new things? That's what we're focused on, like laser focused on.
So important, and it all comes down to understanding your audience. You mentioned that
100%.
earlier on. Like once you know your audience and how they talk, how they speak, where they're at,
Yep.
then you can
Yep.
build all these nurture campaigns around that. And I assume you might even have different types of ICPs, right? It's not just one ICP; it's like several different types.
Yes, and you're hitting the nail on the head, and that's something that I've been working with my team on. Is as we've made that expansion from focusing primarily on fintechs and neobanks into that broader embedded finance space, then it also means we need to look at those audiences differently, look at which offering is going to motivate and move them differently, and
Yeah.
then to your point, look at what they care about and what their barriers are in a very different way than when we were talking to developers, when we were just talking to developers or chief product officers about an API technology.
Hmm. Just to give the audience and me a little clarity, what are some of your ICPs look like? And then that will kind of gear us towards the next conversation.
Can you tell me what you mean by what do they look like? Can you
I
clarify?
guess like yeah, what are some of the details? So some details behind your ICP, like your profiles, the customer profiles.
Well, so our a part of our customer for our a part of our like our buyer persona profiles is that fintech slash neobank kind of audience, which means that you're in a lot of ways you're talking to developers, technologists,
Okay.
payment experts, product people. And so the way that we are building around those, or the way we had built around those, was very much about how do I show you that my platform is flexible, extensible, can deliver, is reliable. It's about the
Mm,
technology and the nuts and bolts and how it can power what you're trying to solve or build.
okay.
Then when you expand into embedded finance, you start looking at different verticals. So we've talked in the past about verticals like retail is a major vertical, travel is a major vertical, et cetera. And then inside of those, your buyers start to be a little bit different than they were before. At
Yeah.
that point, your buyer starts to become someone like uh, a general manager, a chief operating officer, somebody who is a business unit P&L owner, and in addition to all of those other folks. And so then we
Ah.
build the profile very differently when we are trying to sell to those audiences versus when we're selling to the others. And then in terms of the companies themselves inside of these profiles, the ones that are the best companies that are great partners for us are the ones that are trying to break from legacy and explore new things, be innovative, and push things forward. So when we first started working with some of the customers that we have now, it was because they saw a better world for payments and card issuing, and they wanted to create and define experiences that couldn't be done with other providers and traditional banks. And so if you were to look across all of retail, the first places we would look inside of retail are the people who are doing it differently and want to
Mm,
constantly create amazing experiences for their customers, because those are the ones who are going to immediately understand the value of an offering like ours.
And are those generally the larger companies, or you're seeing some even like the mid-size
So we
companies
actually
trying to
are
adopt
we run the gamut from SMB up to enterprise. The
enterprise?
way
Yeah.
we sell to them and who we sell is a little bit different across
Oh
those,
yeah.
but for the most part, we actually service and empower everything from small SMBs or smallish SMBs up to full scale enterprise.
Wow. It sounds like you have a lot of different customer profiles, and you're
It,
using
it makes it
different.
challenging.
Yeah, that sounds super. But that is how you guys win, right? You have to have different messaging, uh, different targeting methods for each different customer profile.
Correct,
How,
correct.
how many, like, just
And
without
a
going to
different
the.
lens of what we're and a different lens of which offering we're leading with. So what's been really important
Mm,
is understanding what's the leading offering based on that customer profile that is going to help move the first action and then the next action, et cetera, because it's not necessarily the same depending on who the buyer voice is that you're talking to.
that's crazy. You must have, like, how many customer profiles do you have? Like, just like an average, or like a range.
I think we've probably got it boiled down to about 15 or 20-ish.
Wow. So that's a large team to have.
There, yes, we have our marketing organization is not, I wouldn't call it large, but it's not small. We have a healthy size team that is definitely laser focused on targeting and execution and
Yeah.
demand gen.
Wow. Um, Hot sauce question here. I'm
15
very
to 20 might be high. If I think about the sheet, that you could probably boil it down to 10 with variations inside of it.
10 with variations, right? Okay, so I'm very curious. This sounds like, I'm just visualizing this. It's a huge team to execute all of this. How much are you guys spending in marketing? Your marketing budget, like monthly or annual?
Not enough. Not nearly enough. I
Like,
mean, look, you I do not believe that we report our marketing spend. So I'm going to have to hot sauce that one because I don't think we report it publicly.
okay, all right. We'll take a shot.
Oh,
We'll take a shot of this. You're gonna hate hot sauce after this.
I am going to hate hot sauce so much after this, which is a really sad thing because, I got hot sauce in my bag. Swag.
Yo, swag. Let's go. Okay.
Oh, Lord. Oh,
What are we at now? That's number 4?
I think that was number 4 if you include the intro take.
Wow. We're getting up there. I think our record was 5 or 6.
Okay, I'm not hoping to get there.
Yeah, let's not get there. All right. Let's just talk about the different channels a little bit. Like, we want to know, you got so much experience with B2B when it comes to nurturing and awareness.
Yeah.
Which area do you feel the most excited? Like, when you're working on something and you're strategizing, is there, you mentioned nurturing is your biggest focus.
Yeah.
We've already talked about nurturing a lot. What about awareness? Like,
Yeah.
what's the secret sauce there?
I don't know that I have a secret sauce yet for awareness in what we're doing, but what I will say is what is critical to us is kind of what I said before, the power of paid, owned, and earned together to
Yeah.
amplify scale.
Yeah.
We don't spend a lot, even though I'm not saying the number, we don't spend a lot. And so if I relied solely on paid media, like I might have in my past life,
Yeah.
no one would know anything that we had to say because we just don't spend a lot. And so the role of really harnessing owned, organic, and earned is absolutely critical to us. And so we place a lot of value in defining really great stories and telling them really well in a combination of our comms activities, our experience, our event and field marketing activities, and our social campaigns.
As a CMO, you're probably in a lot of CMO circles. Are you hearing a reduction in paid ad spend in the B2B world? Is that an overall trend, like a real trend that's
Um,
happening?
I can't say specifically in B2B because it's a new circle for me and I'm still building my network in my B2B circle. So for any CMOs that are being B2B CMOs, holler at your girl because I would love to get to know you. But I can say in the overall, like particularly in the ad spending world as a whole, there is a continued pressure on
Mhm.
spend levels because of the economic environment. I personally call it
Yes.
the non-recession recession
Yeah.
because spending is still behaving like we are preparing ourselves or buckling down in a recession,
Yeah.
even though we're not technically in a recession. And
Yeah.
so media spends, agency fees, everything is continuing to be under pressure right now.
Yes.
I will also say that a lot of companies right now, particularly at our stage of maturity, came out of 2021 with an amazing IPO, amazing valuation, and now we have to really demonstrate our path to profitability. And that means that we need to have a really strong revenue plan, which is everything you and I just talked about, sitting on top of a very thoughtful and disciplined expense base.
Expense.
And
Yeah.
so I am managing our marketing investment to make sure we are maximizing every dollar before we invest anymore.
For sure. Well said. It's a pre-recession recession, and we're seeing it everywhere. We're starting from the very top, from the, like, VCs, for example. They're buckling down. They're not making as many bets, and so less money out there. Cost of debt is also more expensive. Cost of money is more expensive now. I think interest rates. I don't know what the interest rates are down there where you're at. Is that like 7%?
Yeah, the last thing I saw it was like 7% or
Seven
something like
percent.
that.
Yeah, so that's like a huge jump from where we were, even just 2-3 years ago. So there's
Gosh,
just so much pressure when it comes to money. So I get you on there.
it's really painful. We've been talking about my condo. My interest rate on my condo is like that old school ridiculous interest rate of like
Two
2.75%.
point, yeah, 2%, yeah,
And so like I had been thinking about, potentially moving down to where my mom is because she's getting older and I'd been thinking about, selling and buying. And I saw the interest rate at the time was like 8%. I was like,
yeah,
or I'll just stick right here and
yeah,
fly down to Atlanta.
yeah. It's almost more worth it for you and more economical, right?
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
so yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, we get a lot of B2B CMOs come on the show.
Yeah.
As a B2B podcast.
Yeah.
Uh, and we've heard a lot of companies saying the same thing. Areas where they're cutting money is ad spend.
Yeah.
That's easy to turn off, right? And then event spend that's another easy area to cut spend. So you sponsor less and you just
Yeah.
attend
Yes.
events, like,
Attend more,
small
speak
parties and
at
stuff.
them.
Yeah,
You're much more laser focused inside of them versus it's about the awareness and the 100%.
yeah. And who knows, even after we get out of this recession, maybe this level of spend will stick. Now we realize that we can grow and we can build brand and we can build awareness without spending all this money. I don't know. What do you
I will
think?
tell you, I actually don't agree with that. And I'll tell you my reason why. I think it works right now in this environment when everybody has pulled back and everybody has contracted. But
Mm,
you will reach a max. Two things will occur. One is you'll reach a maxing point of how much you can scale at this investment level.
mm,
So our investment is tempered against the scale expectations. If we wanted to massively scale or start to go to the next tranche in the future, we're going to have to increase, not just me, but
mm.
marketers as a whole are going to have to increase their investment in order to achieve a certain level of scale. You will max out at how much work these smaller levels can do. The
Mm.
second thing I will say is somebody is going to make the decision of I'm ready to scale. And as soon as they do that, then you're like in your space, then you're fighting against the share of voice that they're now capturing. And
Mm,
you're going to have to strike a balance between your great efficiency and the
mm-hmm,
loss of that efficiency that inherently comes
mm-hmm.
because they are capturing some of your eyeballs and therefore capturing some of your conversions, making it harder for you to move somebody.
I see. Okay. Let me rephrase this then. When it comes to paid ads, are you scaling back mostly just because budget is low, or is it because the effectiveness of paid ads is not as what it used to be?
So I wouldn't say what we're doing is about scaling back. We just don't invest high.
You just don't invest
And
high.
the main
Got it.
reason is I am
Got it.
focused on striking a balance between helping my CFO and CEO get profitability while at the
Hmm.
same time helping to deliver enough demand gen support that is going to help us achieve our growth targets.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to strike this really sensitive balance between gross profit support and growth. And
Okay.
so if I find a channel that is killing it and the ROI versus the quality of opportunities coming in is amazing, then I
Mm.
will absolutely go pour money into that channel
Okay. Great
or that
segue.
town.
Great segue because this is a question that I ask to most of the guests. What is your best performing channel? Like, if you had to choose like the best channel that because you're testing so many different channels, what do
Yeah.
you think is the best performing channel by CPA or ROI?
Well, right now, the very clear, obvious one is my CRM channel is my best performing channel. But if I count that one out, since it's not a paid channel, so I'm not really measuring CPA, I think one of our next strong performers, our highest performer, I'm trying to think of, I'm looking at my dashboard in my head right
In your
now.
head, yeah, yeah.
I think I would say that it is probably right now paid search next.
Mm, paid search. So
LinkedIn is the next one that I would think about, but I don't think our efficiency is as strong right now as our paid first search efficiency is.
okay,
Our cost pers, I mean.
yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting. Paid search is up there. I mean, paid search is
Because
one of those things that you kind of have to do, right?
Well, and
Anyways,
that's the thing. Like if you were to say, is it where I'm going to gain scaled growth? Probably not.
probably
But
not. Yeah.
your question was simply about where am I finding my greatest efficiency?
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Um, wow. I mean, look, I think we're at 47 minutes, and we haven't gone through half of the what I usually want to talk about. We're
Does
probably
that
gonna
mean
have
that
to.
does that mean my answers are too long? I'm so sorry.
No, it means that we're sharing great value on this episode. Is what it means. It's really really awesome. I did have a couple of other
Yeah,
kind of questions
yeah.
for you, but I'm really nervous that we have to do another shot of hot sauce. Um, so
I
maybe
mean,
we'll
like
just.
just do it. Just do it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? We do one or two more shots of hot sauce. You can take it. You can take the heat.
I don't know if I can take it today. But uh, well, look, I wanted to learn me alongside all the audience. We want to learn from your experience. Like, what do you think? Like, do you have any hot takes? Something that you believe in marketing, that you strongly believe in, that you think more than half of other marketers just don't get it?
I don't know if I can say it the way that you're saying it, but let me just say some thoughts that I have, and you can
Sure,
tell me if that's the direction you were heading.
sure, yeah.
I am an extremely strong believer in the power of brand plus performance, not brand or performance.
Hmm.
So in my life, there's always been the consummate battle between should I spend my next dollar on performance or should I spend my next dollar on brand? And I really argue that you shouldn't be treating them at odds to each other, but rather, how do I optimize the combo of them? Because you need the brand in order to fill the
Hmm.
funnel. There's a point where you are going to stop being able to efficiently fill the funnel without the brand. And so everybody who thinks they can just turn that off and just focus on bottom funnel cost efficiency, you can do that. But then you'll start to see that all that trickling gets slower and slower and slower and slower. And then your cost efficiency starts getting worse and worse and worse and worse, versus having a constant flow of how you're marrying those two things together. And it is a very intricate balance, but it's also an important balance to the long-term health of your business.
I love that. Can I add one additional thing to that, and then and then see if it's a hot sauce for you? Would you like? Some people like to think brand or paid or performance. I think if you had to choose one, I would rather do brand without the performance rather than having performance without the brand. Because if you just run performance without the brand, you're just burning money. What do you think about that?
I think it depends on the maturity of your brand. So if and what your business needs to achieve right now. If your business needs to achieve near-term revenue right now, then you may be better off, if you had to choose between the two, you may be better off doing high frequency performance stuff that's building the brand through frequency and the way that you're telling that message, but it's bottom funnel performance marketing versus a brand awareness ad that is going to absolutely build people's attention and care and love for you, but is not necessarily going to send as many many credit card swipes for you in the meantime. And so you may need that. If you're a company that has the capacity for either you've got a strong enough pipeline right now that you've got enough near-term revenue flow coming in, or whatever the case may be with your business, you might instead say, okay, right now, if I have to choose, I'm going to focus on the brand, because right now I have a brand problem. I have, whether it's, it won't be an awareness problem in that instance. It'll be a brand perception problem. And if I don't fix my brand perception problem, then the cash register is still going to stop ringing. So I'm going to focus on fixing that. But I don't ever try to put myself at odds to that. Even today, when I was having a conversation with my chief revenue officer partner, and we were talking about a decision that we needed to make. And I told him, I do not want us to turn this off. I would rather us find a smart way to still be able to power a brand storytelling while driving demand, versus saying we're just going to turn one or the other of those off, because something in our near term will fall or something in our long term will fall.
Yeah. I love this. By the way, have you done a lot of podcasts before in the past?
I mean, I've done a couple, but I wouldn't say a lot.
No, you're good. You're good. Because we were talking before the podcast, and you're like, you weren't sure. This is amazing answers that you're giving out.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just such an amazing podcast host that you just level me up.
Maybe. I hope so. That's always the hope. So we have a segment that we added a while ago. It's not a new segment anymore. Where I try to make you laugh with 3 jokes.
Oh, good gracious!
And if you laugh,
I laugh all the time.
If you laugh, you gotta do a shot of hot sauce. If you don't, then I will do a shot of hot sauce.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I feel like you're gonna have a really good. I feel like you have a good poker face, so you might.
I do not at all. I'm the worst poker facer, and I'm laughing just thinking about the game we're about to play, much less actually playing the game. But okay, go ahead.
All right, let's give this a shot. All right. Since this is you guys are a debit card, credit card company, I'll tell you this first joke. How do you stop a bull from charging? You cancel.
How do you stop a bull from charging?
Bull. Yeah, like a bull.
Take away his credit card?
Damn it. How did you know that joke? Okay.
Because you teed it up with, since you're a debit and credit card company.
Sorry. Okay, we're not going to count that laugh, by the way.
Okay.
That was your own laugh. Okay, I got 2 more tries at you.
Okay, go.
What do you call a pepper that's that's always like trying to listen to, like, listen to your conversations with other people.
What do you call a pepper that's always trying to listen
Into
to
your
my conversation?
conversations. Yeah.
Nosy?
Oh, it's a close one. It's just a pepper that's always trying to get jalapeno business.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Wow. That's a
mm,
good one. That's a good one.
mm.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. I got one last try. So I don't know if I didn't tell you this, by the way, but my tongue was once in the Guinness World Record. Wait, what happened? I didn't even tell the punchline.
Was that not it?
No, there was more. But
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, my tongue was once in the Guinness World Record. But I guess that was good enough. But then the librarian told me to take it out. That was the punchline.
That's even worse. All right, I will take that one because. Oh my goodness.
All right, this is gonna be a great clip. I hope Pat is listening and writing notes. This is gonna be a fantastic clip. Cheers. I'll take
right.
it. I'll take
Oh,
it
sorry, I
too.
took it already.
I'll take it too. Yeah.
I'm just gonna get it down. I'm just gonna get it down.
All right.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we made it 55 minutes. People that are listening all the way through, obviously, really interested in your background, interested in what Marqeta is doing, but mostly about your background, right? Because the guest matters a lot. Want to hear a
Do you
little
feel
bit?
like I was being concise enough in some of the marketing questions you were asking me? I wasn't feeling like I was giving very clear, actionable perspectives on them.
Yeah. So maybe let's give some actionable perspective now. Like, I think a lot of our listeners, like 25% of our listeners, are junior level, entry level marketers.
Yep.
Take us back to, maybe not take us back, but you knew right away early on that you were going to be a CMO. What advice would you give to other marketers that are starting now, not when you started, but they're starting now, and they want to be a CMO? Like, what kind of tips would you give them now, knowing what you know?
So the first tip that I would give is know your data. Data is king. So that is a combination of your business data, your customer data. Everything at the foundation of what you are doing as a marketer needs to be rooted in knowing your data, analyzing the heck out of it, and then using it to power all of the activities that you want to do. The second thing I would say is always be curious and learning something new. Even when you think you are at the top of your game, there is something else or someone else that's going to be coming behind, challenging that. And so you need to be constantly learning and approaching something new. And then in that vein, everybody talks about AI, and there's like a lot of superficial chat about AI. I think for young marketers right now, if you can become an expert in how to leverage AI to drive productivity, to drive efficiency, to hone great creativity at scale, you are going to be a part of the future. I really fundamentally
100%.
believe that. I was talking to my team the other day. I have a great team of creative designers in the organization. And I was telling them that I want them to really, really hone what they know and understand about AI for kind of creating and building assets. And what I told them was, I don't want you to think about it through the lens of you're basically training your competition. What I want you to think about is there was a point in time where designers only knew and designed for paper, TV, etc. And they looked at designing for digital like it was lesser than, unimportant, it's not going to matter, etc. And now everything we do is that.
Everything.
I see the idea of learning and understanding how to prompt AI in a way to produce brilliant, amazing work product and like design assets that are different and better and special. I see that the honing that skill as important as the person who knew how to draw something. And so if I'm a creative, I'm still going to approach the way that I talk to and prompt very differently than how like you or I would. And so it's not about taking away from you. It's about honing the brilliance that is in your head through new tools and new capabilities. And I just fundamentally believe that is going to be a foundation to the future.
So I agree with that so much. So you talked a lot about, I guess, just more of the technical aspect of being a marketer, focusing on the data and always learning, and then
Yep.
leveraging AI, which I totally agree. Anything they should do when it comes to, because at the end of the day, in order to grow your career, you're gonna have
Yep.
to get really good with people, because
Yes.
people are the people. They're the ones that are gonna decide whether you're gonna make it up. How important would you say was that aspect of your career, and just finding good mentors,
Yeah.
like networking and just building good relationships with people? Like, how important was that part
Yeah.
for
I'm
you?
sure most marketers hear it all the time, but establishing a strong kind of board of advisors or cabinet or whatever those words are, people around you that are great partners and mentors to guide you through both your marketing decision making, but also your career decision making. I just think it's so instrumental. Mine has evolved over the course of the years, but the reality is, I wouldn't know and operate in marketing the way that I do if it weren't for having had a mentor very early on in my career that made me think about a marketing career in a very different way
Hmm.
and helped me get exposed to things that I would have never seen. And it's only through the relationship that I built with her that I'm really where I am today. And then there are multiple other great mentors and advisors that I've had over the years that have helped me guide and point myself in the direction of what might I want to do next? What do I want to learn next? What's the next opportunity that I need to be focused on? Or how do I overcome certain problems, etc. Those same
Yeah.
people are also the ones that end up being my voice, either in the leadership decision making rooms in the company that I'm at,
Yeah.
or talking to the executive recruiters in the companies that end up hiring me.
Yeah. That's amazing. Um, well, Karna, this has been an amazing conversation. Like I said, there's so many things that we didn't even get to talk about, so we might have to do round two at some point. I hope you're gonna be okay with that and get like a
I
more
am gonna have to like, get some Tums or Pepto Bismol or something, settle the stomach and the ever present acid, and then we'll come back to it again.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. For those that are listening that want to follow along your journey, where are you the most active on social, or are you, if you want to give a plug to the company as well?
So from a business perspective, LinkedIn is by far where I'm the most active. So I always respond to things. If you heard or saw me on something, if you shoot me a message, I'll always respond to you. I don't promise that it's always immediate, but it does always occur.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm the most active. And then my life, I am most active on Instagram, but I don't tend to accept too many work follows in Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you heard it. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end, listeners. And Karna, you were amazing. Thank you so much, and we'll talk very soon.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that your listeners enjoyed it. Have a great night.
Well, guys, that's it for another spicy episode of Marketing on Mars. I'm really not sure who got burned more, my taste buds or the guest taste buds. My mouth is on fire. Real talk though, if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Each episode I make is basically an unedited, raw dinner with some of the leading marketing voices. We've got a bunch of CEOs, founders, and CMOs lined up to face the Hot Sauce Challenge. They tell us the truth or they take a shot of hot sauce. We're on almost every single platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and more. There's really no excuse. Until next time, Martians, keep it hot and keep it real.